I know a lot of things will happen hereafter. Once more, I thank everybody for participating. I thank our panelists, and you are all welcome. God bless you.
Thank you very much for that, ma'am. Thank you. I will go straight into introducing our panelists for today. So first up, we have Dr. Ngozi Ebuna. She is the Director General of the West African Monetary Institute, and she will be setting the tone of our conversation today, talking about women and agriculture in West Africa. Then we have Ms. Susan Yamidi, who is the country rep for Solidaridad West Africa and the International Program Coordinator for COCO. She holds a Master's in International Development from University of Manchester, and she'll be talking to us today about building networks in agriculture, which is particularly important. In fact, herself and Dr. Ebuna met while attending a course at Harvard University, and this goes to show the importance of women investing in themselves and building valuable networks. So I'm sure we'll hear a lot about that going forward. Our next panelist is Mrs. Myrta Ayala. She's the agribusiness expert we have today on our panel. She's also the secretary at the Embassy of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in Argentina, and she will be talking to us about subsistence farming and practical ways to make money with little investment. Moving on from her, we'll carry on that conversation about making money from agriculture with Mrs. Ngozi Lumanze from Imo State's Agricultural Development Program, speaking to us really about how we can make money through the entire value chain of agriculture. And we have two real life experiences from our actual farmers joining us on our panel today, Honorable Charity Obilo and Mrs. Letitia Yankee from Ghana, who is a cocoa farmer. As you can see, we're covering so many aspects of agriculture in this webinar. It's going to be a power-packed one. So I would say get your notebooks out. Please ask your questions. Use the chat box so we can pass on your questions to our panelists as we listen to their presentations. I will go straight into it and ask that we hear from Dr. Ngozi Ebuna.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I am glad to be here. It's still morning in Accra because it's 11 o'clock now. I want to start by thanking the organizers of this very important webinar, the African Leadership Institute, especially the founder, Ambassador Mrs. Kema Chikwe, who has been my woman crush since I was in secondary school. I thank you very much, ma'am, for this great invitation. I was called this morning to speak on women and agriculture in Africa under the broad theme of business of agriculture, advancing women leadership. So I want to unpack this topic into two broad ways in order to highlight my understanding of the objective of this seminar. One is to look at it as women in business of agriculture in Africa, and then look at it, the other aspect of it is advancing the leadership of women in agricultural business in Africa. I begin by stating that agriculture is actually a business, and African women, both young and old, have been dormant but very hardworking in the business of agriculture, and they have not taken it seriously, and so they have not benefited or profited from doing the business of agriculture. You may want to ask me why, and I begin by saying that it is because African women have not taken their rightful position of leadership in agricultural businesses. Let me explain what I mean. Women the world over, especially in Africa, are gradually overcoming the barriers of establishing profitable businesses in the agricultural sector, but there are still many constraints to high-level or high-value market, as well as access to necessary funding, resources, and business training requirements for them to scale up and become business leaders in agriculture. And so they cannot expand their businesses to compete in any meaningful scale, let alone on an international scale. Also to point out that the current global financial crisis, or pandemic, which we call COVID-19, the outbreak of this unprecedented disease, and the consequences of both the virus outbreak and the restrictive measures taken by governments are being felt in all countries globally. In addition to the risk of further spread of the virus and the overburdening healthcare system, the most acute risk is that the global economic recession will rapidly lead us to a food crisis of extraordinary proportions. And so I think that this topic is not just apt, but it is very, very necessary for us to regroup and see what's going on. Let me give you a backdrop. Before the COVID-19 crisis, 135 million people were already suffering from acute hunger globally. And the recent study by the World Food Program said that the number of acutely hungry people will double to 265 million without the intervention of international communities. And most of these people live in low to medium income countries in Africa, especially in the cities, which is of a great concern to everybody. In order to prevent a food crisis, we need to focus and shift our direction to women. Because they play a very important role both in the production, marketing, and processing of food in the household, as well as for consumption, as well as for sales and marketing. And as a result of this crisis that we're about to face, they have been faced with additional challenges. And this is where the African woman needs to step up and adopt some leadership skills, especially the adaptive leadership skills, to be in business and agriculture. How, you may want to know. How are they supposed to be impacted by this pandemic? They are losing their jobs and their incomes, and which this puts pressure on the daily food needs of their children and themselves. They are also confronted with caring for the sick, which means the people who are coming out of the pandemic, or people who have already had the pandemic and are recovering, need extra food and need high nutrition food to boost their immunity. They also need it to fight the disease. And so it is very, very crucial to ensure that support measures are gender sensitive and that they have long-term measures which will strengthen the position of women leadership in the business of agriculture in the first place. I also want to share some stylized facts with you. Literature has confirmed that in Africa, currently, over 70% of economically active women are involved in agriculture, both in the production, in the trade, and in the processing. But despite this huge representation in that sector, when you look at the entire value chain, women have so much lower skill, which is not, they are more in production, which is backbreaking and very capital intensive, but it is not lucrative for them at all. But as you go further the value chain, they have less role to play because they do not have the access to resources that are needed in terms of capital, in terms of land, and all that. However, the most crucial need at this time is for women in the agricultural sector to be empowered and supported to take leadership role in entrepreneurship in agribusiness, including the importance of giving them an equal voice and representation in decision-making at strategic policy levels. The future of this continent squarely depends on us, the women, and what we make out of this. Let me also tell you that the economic empowerment of women in agriculture through their increased participation in commercial value-added agriculture is essential to transform the productivity and prosperity of this sector in Africa as a whole. Do you know that in the subsector, in sub-Saharan Africa, gender inequality costs us about $100 billion a year? What I mean by that is that since we have inequality in gender in agricultural sector, mainly in the agribusiness, we lose about $100 billion a year. I would like Somachi to help me share a video, the slide that I made, slide number 1. If you may, Soma.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
It's coming up. Is there any particular page you would like?
No, just the first slide.
Okay.
I've ordered them the way I want to present it.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the slide I'm talking about. In spite of these challenges that we face, you see that there are so many women-owned businesses in Africa who provide some very inspirational stories. But let me share this slide with you. If you look at this slide, you will see an overview of gender gap in agricultural business value chain. It starts from, the input provision as well as the production, and then you come to the post-harvest processing and transportation. Here, the gender gap is very clear because it is mainly informal, it is mainly unacknowledged because women are the front runners there, and it is under-resourced as well as underrepresented. I am sure most of us in Africa have not seen women driving food trucks, the real refrigerated food trucks, the way we have it in Europe and America, containing foods going from the farm gates to the markets. Rather, what we see are women who are on top of heaps of plantain and whatever goods that they have, riding on the back on top of it in the open, whether it is sunshine or rain, they are up there. The value you would add to it is to go ahead and make sure that women have a voice, women do it properly. If it comes to input production, why are women not having the front seat when it comes to extension service provision? In production, we only till the ground, we harvest, but then the men sell it, they make all the profits, and then they give the women pittance. It limits the access to, there are limited access to information, there are limited access for women to hire labor, as well as technology. I'll tell you a story. When I was doing my postgraduate program, I did my doctorate degree in agricultural extension and rural development. I went to farms in Badagry, in Lagos State. And one very fine day, I was actually targeting women farmers. And one very fine day, I had 6 or 7 women in my list. I went from farm to farm, and the owners were women. They were doing their job. But when it came to them showing me what they do and stepping up to show their leadership skills, they would rather sit to the farm manager or sit to their husband. And I found it very strange because they own the farm and they tell me they are the owners. But when you now ask them, also, madam, why are you now telling the man to talk to me? He said, madam, business of agriculture is, I don't even know how to keep the books. Keeping the books in agriculture is just one part of it. It is not the major part of agriculture. And that's what I want to make clear to us this morning. I would also want to say that women have to make more effort in making sure that we do the right thing and we scale up. Please permit me at this point to also highlight the key impediments to women leadership empowerment in agricultural business. And there I'll call on Soma to share the slide number 4 for me, please.
This one?
Yes, this one, yes. Here, I want to show here is that there are things that are impeding women. I will mention 7 of them, but I will not dig deep on it because I have limited time. Let me discuss the first one, which is decision-making power in agricultural processes and policies. Women are rarely considered for appointments as ministers of agriculture all over Africa. They are not even considered when it comes to making agricultural machinery designs by agricultural engineers. We still have hoe and diggers that weigh a ton, and so women cannot lift those things up. Also, when it comes to giving inputs, production, processes, women are nowhere to be found. They don't take women ideas into consideration when they are designing things in engineering. The second thing I want to talk about is control over productive resources. Land, you know that we have issues of land ownership in agriculture, especially in Africa. In Nigeria, where I come from, it's almost only recently that we started talking about women owning lands. But then, let me not discourage you. You can still farm even in your backyard. You don't need hectares of land to do that. And then women have issues with control over the use of income. You see a woman manager, like I told you, I went to Badagry. She owns a farm, but the money and the income from it is being controlled by her husband. So even if she sees things that she wants to buy for the farm, she cannot buy them without the permission of the husband. Social capital and leadership in the community. I also want to talk about things like human capital in terms of training, capacity building, as well as access to and the use of technology. If you remember, those of us who were in Nigeria some years ago, when Dr. Adesina of ADB was the Minister of Agriculture, he personally made sure that he bought cheap phones and distributed the phones to female farmers. And he made a lot of positive impact. But that's not what I want to talk about. The issue I want to highlight this morning is on time use and time poverty. What do I mean by that? Because of cultural norms, women remain primary domestic caregivers and caretakers of households. The combined load of productive work and care work cause many women to experience time poverty. It negatively affects their health, economic opportunities, and community engagement. This disparity is compounded by women's limited access to time-saving solutions, such as labor-saving technologies and infrastructure. The solution I would come to is giving women or agricultural programs that can tackle challenges through mindful and deliberate approaches, such as considering women workload and availability when scheduling meetings and training events, planning activities that involve time. You will see women taking time off to go and breastfeed their babies at the farm and then come out. By the time they come out, most of the information by extension workers are already done, and they will be told to, okay, talk to your colleague who is a man, who will give her secondhand information the way it suits him. The programs can also explore ways to encourage men to appreciate caretaking activities and share some domestic responsibilities with women. It is definitely not demeaning. It's also important to monitor changes in women's workload from time to time and see how that can be done and how they can be helped out. So, before I conclude, let me give you some key recommendations that I want to highlight this morning. And I would recommend that we give women the following. 1, access to profitable market information in any way you want, analysis of key barriers to successes of women in agricultural business reveal that limited opportunities are there for women to access high-value market information, as well as connect with large-scale buyers or sellers of commercial value to them. You can make a lot of farmers rich and prosperous if you can get them into those value chains. Support for women-owned businesses to access to global markets and strengthening linkages between private sector companies is also key, especially when it comes to data collection. You can, as a woman in the value chain, you can just decide that what you want to do is to add value by just sending out data, agricultural data. And so you can hand over mobile phones to women, and they will tell you what they have produced, when they are ready, and key data like that can be of sale. And you don't have to till the farm to be an agribusiness value chain owner. That's all I'm getting at there. Also, technology opens new doors. You use your mobile phone effectively. It is vital that women embrace the potentials of agriculture to make their businesses more competitive and relevant. In addition, to facilitate market access, technology can improve rural women's access to finance to allow them to build more profitable businesses. For example, there's a lady called Mrs. Afonja in Nigeria who uses GIS technology to provide farm data for financial services to assess farmers' credit worthiness. This service is particularly valuable to women, especially women farmers who often face difficulties acquiring loans and, due to limited collateral, lack of land ownership, as well as inability to get to the financial institutions that will give them the fund. I also want to suggest that we expand the capabilities of women entrepreneurs by giving them training, and a lot of mentorship support, which are usually not available to them. Initiatives specifically targeting gender-responsive businesses, such as African Women Business Network in East Africa, will do a lot of good. Also, intercontinental collaboration by capitalizing on knowledge and experiences of women network globally will also make a lot of difference to the African farmer. Then engaging the private sector, that is also very critical, because while business training and mentorship are key to commercial successes, agribusiness cannot expand if they do not have access to necessary resources, including labor, equipment, and finance. For example, women manage 60% of rice production in Africa. There is need for them to partner with people who can give them access to plowing and harvesting services per hectare, and also provide these women with financially viable access to machinery services to help them. An example of something that is working very well includes Plan International and Care International, where they have over 758,000 women that they have helped from 2009 to 2015. That is very, very impressive. Before I conclude, let me say that change often starts slowly. When women start making economic case for promoting women professionalism and supporting women farmers, the narrative will definitely change. Today, gender is increasingly becoming recognized as a major missing link in transforming Africa's agricultural sector and in stimulating national economic growth. There's an African proverb that says that knowledge is a garden, and if it is not cultivated, it cannot be harvested. So I'll say to you that women are a force of nature, and they have the knowledge, they have the capabilities. So ladies, let's just do it. I thank you all for the very kind attention you've given me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ibuna. Thank you so much for that opening presentation. I think you've perfectly set our tone to the kind of issues that we're going to be addressing during the webinar. To point out again to what you said, these situations and these issues that women farmers face are not unique to any one community or any one country. It's replicated and it's the same across Africa, in Ghana, Tanzania, Rwanda. The issue of women contributing a higher percentage into the efforts of agriculture, but benefiting and reaping very little of the proceeds is a standing problem across the continent and is completely linked and tied to gender inequality issues. So based on that, I want us to talk about what women can do within their own capacities, within their homes, in their backyards, in their spaces with very limited investment, how they can begin to see agriculture being profitable for them with very little that they need to put in. So I'll hand over now so that we can hear from Merta Ayala, who will speak to us about subsistence farming.
Very much. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Ambassador Kemachikwe, for the invitation. I wanted to talk about how to start making money. And by saying making money, you start saving money at one point, but not buying certain things. So I wanted to share my experience. I grew up in a farm. I'm from farmers family, and I never knew what is to go to the greengrocer because we always had the greengrocer at the backyard. So it's something good also to engage children, right, from very early age. I know that among our attendees, we might have people from different organizations, maybe teachers. So there is something you can also start doing from school. You can do it with your neighbors. And women, we always try to do the best for our family. So one thing we want to do is to give good food, particularly if it's organic. Today we are in the organic so as not to get into fertilizers and chemicals into our bodies. So growing our own vegetables can be a source of eating healthy, but also at one point it can start helping you making some money. Let me share with you a presentation I have here. So we are going to see this with some practical pictures. One of the things we need to have in mind is that we need to have, first of all, a lot of preparation. As the previous panelist said, we need to be prepared. This is not something that you just can grow overnight. Nothing starts overnight. You need to plan, you need to be prepared. You need to know what you want to do, what you want to plan, how you want to do it. You need to put a lot of passion. we women have all the motherly instincts. So this is your baby. Your garden is gonna be like your baby. You need to feed it every day. You need to water it every day. You need to clean it every day. You need to take care of it as a baby. And since you plant it until you can eat it, you have to take care of it. You need to put a lot of love. That is extremely important. You need to have a lot of patience. You are not going to grow a lot of vegetables overnight or in 1 month or in 2 weeks. You need to have a lot of patience. You need to learn with it, learn the process. We all live in different areas, so weather, climate, geography, everything will take a crucial part in all this. So you need to grow with it, and you need to be very patient. And you need to have a lot of perseverance. If you're not perseverant, you're going to fail. Maybe the first time the tomatoes will not grow, it can grow the next season. So this is perseverance. One of the things that I always learned is that you can partner with different, for example, neighbors. Let's say you just want it for home production. One tries the tomatoes and the next one tries the potatoes. So you don't get so much frustration. That's why I said you need to have preparation. You need to investigate. You need to talk to other people. And also, when you say perseverance, you're not talking of, oh, my dream is to have a very big garden, vegetable garden. You need to specify with objectives. You need to have aims. This is what I want to achieve. I want to produce a lot of tomatoes. So don't talk about dreams. Talk about objectives. Talk about planning. One of the first things you need to take into consideration for the design of a vegetable garden is the plot. What are you going to use? 1 square meter, 2 square meter, 10 square meter, how you are going to divide. That's why the first thing is preparation, the planning. You need to plan what you are going to do. So you are going to arrange. The little investment is to have your wheelbarrow, your shovel, your rake, and start preparing the land. This is like the first thing. When you are thinking of the plot of land you are going to use, you need to consider the sunlight. Sun is very, very important because your vegetables need a lot of sun. So most of the experts will suggest that it should be facing south. So the amount of daylight during the day would be maximum, okay? You also have to consider the areas where you live, because in some areas the sun will be so strong that you might need semi-shades, maybe to protect like by the late afternoon. When you are very organized, you can divide your vegetable garden with boxes. These boxes will help you not to contaminate one vegetable with another group. So it also will help you like to distribute the different humidity. Some of them might need more humidity than others. So the idea of having boxes, once you are a bit more organized, or if you have some wood at home, will help you be a bit more organized with the watering, and with the weeding, and with the cleaning. As I mentioned before, the sun is very important. The photosynthesis of the vegetables is very, very crucial. So the sun and the water are two elements that you have to take care of every day. And watering the plant, it's also something you have to be careful. You cannot just go and throw a bucket to it because you're gonna kill the plants. They are babies. Remember that they are babies and you have to take care of them. It has to be like very gentle. If you have the chance to have a drip irrigation system, it will also help you a lot more because it will be a gentle watering without being too violent with the plants. A drainage, you need to create a space, and also when you plant, there's a level a bit higher than the ground. So the extra water will drain away. It will not be a waterlog. You are not drowning your plants. Also, the drain will help you get away all the excess of humidity. The plant can take as much as it can every day. But also, if there is no drain, you are letting more humidity than what is needed to the plant. So you need the drain so the plant will not soak in what is not necessary. Substrate is when you're coming to a higher level. So sometimes you can buy this box of substrates that comes with pebbles, with coconut, with humus, with peat, with different minerals that are already balanced and prepared. But let me tell you what you can do, because we are saying that we are starting a business without any money. So you can start doing your own compost. And this is when you go to the kitchen, you have the dustbin where you threw all the garbage, and then what we call it, the bucket for the organic elements to do it at home. So you will start collecting all the peels, the skin, even the eggshell, and this is going to be your compost. You can prepare like a big box outside the house, and you start mixing it with soil because it will ferment. That's why if it is a wooden box, it's better, because if it is something plastic or metal, the fermentation will never end. So you need to let it breathe. You need to let some air into it. So when you prepare your compost, make sure you are mixing the soil with it. Something you can add, which is very highly nutritious for vegetables, is the poop of chicken, manure of horses or cows. With the manure, with the poop, what you have to be very careful is like not to throw it direct once it comes from the animal, because it will be so hot, the acid, that it is going to kill your vegetables. So you need to let it dry. Don't leave it very close to the house, because the fly will be very, very annoying and you will not enjoy that. Let it dry very, very, very well. And the moment you know it is ready is when you cannot smell it anymore. When that manure, when the poop does not smell, is ready for mixing, right? So you let it dry very, very well, and then you can mix. So there's no need to go and buy your substrate. You can prepare it at home. Like the idea of poop or manure is if you have the chance. Otherwise, with this type of organic compost is very, very nutritious. And this is the first thing you can do before organizing your plant. You prepare all this compost with your soil, and you will give it the necessary nutrients. So your soil will be strong enough to give you very good vegetables. And we are yet not talking about any type of investment. In very small pieces of land, you can have so much vegetables that it can fill the whole family and maybe the whole neighborhood. So if you take care, as I said, the preparation, if you take care of your baby, you can have like very, very good income later on. You can start selling, you can partner with, as I said before, with different neighbors, and you can create some sort of cooperative that it can feed you and at the same time can give you some sort of income. And we are talking of how to start, right? Of course, then there are different levels of how to become a bigger producer, but this is how to start this vegetable business. You can start with very simple things you buy every day. So once you start buying the carrots, then you're going to chop the top of the carrot and soak it in water until you can see the leaves growing. You can do the same with the potatoes. You can even cut the potatoes in halves, and then you will have from each potato 2 plants. And every plant can give you at least like a kilo of potatoes, so which is good enough. So from 1 potato, you might even have 2 kilos of potatoes in your production. In the case of potatoes, the water is very important, and that compost I showed you how to prepare. It's very nutritious. You can also play with the kids and use toothpicks to play how to make the potato grow the roots, and then after that you go and plant. So that's why engaging the children is also very nice, and this is how they fool me as a child, and they say, hey, you are playing, but you are not playing, you are planting. And it's good, you know, as a trick to engage children. That's why if you want to do it like in school, it's helpful. You can plant it direct. It's not my idea of doing it direct, but it works, right? You can start it with plant pots at home, you know, small. You can start like that. Or you can just put the seed aside, let it dry, and then take it to seedlings. You can even use, as you can see, there's no neither investment. You can use like yogurt, little pots, disposable coffee pots. You can start putting, you put a lot of seeds into each one, prepare with the compost we prepared before. And as many plants as you have, the better, because once you transplant, you will have more plants. So don't be scared of putting too many seeds in one little seedling, because it's never wrong. For those who don't have too much space or want to start, you can even start in your balcony, as we have it here. We live in a city, so every balcony has like a very little space for your pepper, for your own parsley, for your chives. This is a way of trying. Okay, if it works here, you can go into a bigger projects, and it's good. This is the roof of the government house in Argentina. The president and all the staff from the government eat from their own vegetable garden on the rooftop. The chef says that he wants everything fresh, so the best idea was to have the vegetable garden on the roof of the government house. The same thing happened with the presidential residence. This is the former first lady collecting her own vegetables for the salad and for everything. So there's nothing to do with a woman cannot do. You can do it for your family, and you can even start producing more. Once you get to have the tactile of it, you can advance and move forward. There's no status, social status for this. Every woman can. This is the former first lady collecting.
Mama, please don't go far. We will soon end. I won't bother.
This is the ideal city, Les Avanchettes in Genève, Switzerland. Everybody has his own vegetable garden. This is the most organic city in the world. Absolutely everybody consumes and produces their own products, and they share whatever one doesn't have, the other one has. So this is something that is very, very, very possible to do. Everybody can grow its own organic garden, and of course, as much as you can become more expert with it, the more you'll make money. I hope this was useful.
Absolutely useful, Marta. Honestly, you've just given us information that people pay money to learn. We've all just been schooled and we've taken a class. Thank you so much for your masterclass at for WLI during this webinar. Honestly, sorry?
I'm going to prepare a document, right? If there are any questions later, that I'm going to forward to Ms. Somachi so she can distribute to all the attendees, so you can have a brief of everything I explained with pictures, so you can start. There's going to be something else.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And if you have, just take a few minutes and read some of the comments in the chat room. The comments are going crazy. Everybody is impressed and just amazed at what we've just spent only 10 minutes. And as soon as this is over, I'm going downstairs to plant immediately. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. You've really inspired everyone here. And it's so important and so simple, and you've simplified it for us. I can't thank you enough for that.
As I said before, it was a game. My dad fooled me and said, this is how you play, and actually it was how to play and make our own vegetables. I was fooled, but yes, it was interesting.
That's the best way to be fooled. In fact, the only way to be fooled, really. So thank you so much, Rita. We appreciate your time, and we'll be looking forward. All the participants, if you registered and we have your email, you'll be receiving some follow-up information from Rita through our program director. Thank you so much, and please keep your comments and your questions coming, and the panelists are here to answer. So going off of this, the momentum that we have going in terms of making money and growing your own food and vegetables from your home, I'm going to hand over now to Ms. Susan Yamidi, so we can talk about how we can expand.
Thank you very much. And I'm very happy to be here. It's really been an exciting 2 presentations already. And I must say that most of the 2 presentations so far have already spoken to the underlying tones of my presentation, which is how do we leverage networks as leaders to become leaders, to have a voice and a representation at decision making in agric. And so I want to say thank you to Ngozi and to Meta for setting the tone for me. All that they have talked about are the necessary tools that we need. And I'm going to talk about how we use these tools and information to build networks that would help improve our businesses. So let me just give me a minute and let me share my screen. I have just a few slides. I'm trying to share this slide. Okay, I'm finding it difficult to share the slide here. Soma, can you just please share the slides for me, please?
All right, give me a second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. So basically, this is my intro. I'm going to speak to harnessing networks for leadership in agriculture. A bit of my background, I am the country rep for Solidaridad West Africa, and I also coordinate our global programs. And in my experience working in the agricultural sector, one of the things that we have realized is that women in agric do not really harness the networks that they have to improve their businesses. But most importantly, also maybe it is also a lack of knowledge on how to harness these networks and how to improve, how to build our skills in harnessing networks for our businesses. I'll just delve into a bit of the challenges that we have as women in agriculture. Soma, can you please give me the slide, the next slide? Yes, so our challenges, I think Ngozi set the tone for us looking at our challenges. And I guess I've captured some of, most of them also. Land access is a big challenge for us. We have tenure insecurity. The land, if you have land, you're lucky, but most of us know that women do not really have access to land and particularly control over land. So even as farmers wanting to do big business, land access is an issue for us. The tenure of security is an issue for us. And when we do have the land, it is really very small and it is not profitable. The acreages that we have are not necessarily profitable. We also do not have a lot of knowledge in terms of agricultural practices. And also here, my presentation is not only focusing on the farming, but also on all the other businesses in the value chain. So when I refer to gaps, this is really on the farming, but also low knowledge or really no knowledge at all about the other dynamics in the other businesses in the value chain. For instance, if you are Ngozi did talk about being a transporter. I'm not sure how many women are transporters, but if there are women transporters, do they understand the dynamics of that sector? We don't seem to have knowledge around the dynamics of the businesses that we are engaged in. Low digital deployment technology. A lot of businesses we are moving high tech, and yet how many of us are really up to scratch on technology. In these days of COVID, we are person-to-person contact is minimized. So it's a lot of digital solutions that we need to depend on. How many women are able to harness technology to build their businesses? Access to finance is a big issue. Getting credit, whether little credit, small, big credit, it's a big challenge for us. We do not have savings. We do not have control over even incomes. And these are some of the things that Ngozi highlighted on for us. Also, social capital, our sociocultural norms are the things also go against us. And it is one of the challenges in terms of building our businesses. We do not get a lot of support. Many people do not get a lot of support. And it is one of our biggest challenges. Soma, can I have the third slide, please? What are our opportunities? I think that, again, I will make reference to Ngozi when she set the tone for us. Women constitute about 70% of the labor force in agriculture, and that is big. And still today, agriculture is the backbone of our development. And especially it is a driver for economic recovery with COVID also. And this is not just for Africa, it is global. And therefore we can see that there's heightened commitment from governments and from development partners to make sure that agriculture is developed to the extent that it secures food security, it secures food for us, it secures it secures the systems that we need for industrialization. So there's a huge opportunity because agriculture is going nowhere. Now more than ever, it has become the thing that we need. And it is an opportunity as women for us to engage in that. Because of the need and because of the fact that now agriculture is a driver which is needed for massive level and also for speed and for scale, financing has come back into the discussion. We all agree that financing is a challenge, but now there's also a lot of conversations around innovative financing, not the mainstream financing where you have to show collateral before you get credit at very high interest. Now we are looking at impact financing. We are looking at organizations that are willing to give credit and look for social advantages, environmental advantages, instead of just the interest. There are organizations that are very patient, are willing to provide patient capital. So they would give you credit and they'll give you a long time for you to be able to build your business to the point that you can now comfortably pay back. And then we also have inbred credit facilities through different social groups like the VSLs. So there are a number of innovative financing that is emerging. How do we take advantage of all these financing trends so that we can use that to leverage and build our businesses? There are many interventions that are also coming on to develop agriculture on the continent and globally. We have government developing initiatives. For instance, we have the Feed Africa initiative. We also have many development agencies putting out calls that is looking at responding to COVID using agriculture. How are we tapping into all these opportunities? How are we tapping into the governmental initiatives that are already being going on? For instance, in Ghana, we have what we call Planting for Food and Jobs. How are we looking at such initiatives and joining that kind of initiative and leveraging it for our business? Women are still a powerful force. We are more than 50% globally. That is something going for us. How are we even leveraging that? In Africa, there are 70% of the labor force being women. How are we leveraging our collective force to build our businesses? And these are some of the things that I'm going to be speaking to. How do we leverage our collective force and make it count for us in terms of our business? There are also a lot of opportunities in the value chain. Let us not just focus, when we say agriculture, let us just not focus on just the farming, the production systems, but also the other value additions that we can bring. Storage, warehousing, transporting, input supplies. There are many things in the value chain, even providing extension services. What are we doing to leverage all these opportunities within the space for us? And then the last opportunity I want to talk about is also rebranding. Many of us have farms. We call ourselves farmers, we call ourselves businesswomen. But how are we projecting ourselves? How professional are we in our business? How have we branded our business to the external key stakeholders? I think we have now an opportunity to rebrand. We have an opportunity to let people showcase what we are doing, show the profitability of what we are doing, and show the seriousness and the fact that we are in a good place for speed and for scale to respond to the current pandemic that is debilitating to the continent and globally, and to say that we are also positioned to contribute to food security. My next slide, please. So our success in being able to get a space is our networks. And I think in the intro, the moderator did indicate that Ngozi and I met at a course at Harvard. It was Women in Power last May. And I think it was very helpful and it was very insightful. And it is as a result of that also that Ngozi and I are both panelists on this platform. And I want us to think critically about how we leverage our networks to build our businesses. I think that generally as women, we already have social capital. We are mothers, we are sisters, we are aunties, we are homemakers. We are actually also leaders in our religious clubs. We are leaders in the social circles. But how do we translate that into our work, into our businesses? When it comes to our business, we shy away from stepping up. And I think that there are skills that we have used to negotiate at home, to negotiate in our social clubs. We should use those skills again, bring it to our businesses, and use it to negotiate spaces at the table for our businesses. We need to build our capacity, to build our confidence, to build our knowledge in the dynamics of our business. And it is only when we can we can show the world what we are about, we can show evidence of what we are about, that we would have a hearing. And in doing that also, we would use that to leverage and build networks for our businesses. One of the key ways of building networks is joining local and regional groups that have same interests. So you may be doing cassava, and there may be a local group of cassava association, cassava producers. It is very important that you join. You may be into some processing, beekeepers association. It is important that you join that association. And if there is none in your area, you should be the one to step up and form one. Because it is through these groupings that we get a lot of knowledge of what is going on. It is through these groupings that we are able to negotiate. It is through these groupings that we are able to access financing and opportunities. And so it is time that we actually engage at these groupings. Most times we think of it as the high level, it's at the high level, but even as a small scale farmer, you should be able to connect to the next small scale farmer and to the next, so that you have an opportunity to share your ideas, to share your challenges. There is strength in numbers, and we should use that, and it would help us to be able to also have a voice and a space at the table. We should build partnerships. We should be able to identify what kind of initiatives there are in our locality, so that we can use that and build partnerships. For instance, you could, again, I will go back to Ghana, and one of the farmers who is on this panel is from Ghana, Letitia, somebody I know very well. And Letitia is a cocoa farmer, and she's also set up a women's group. And Letitia has taken the advantage of our work to build a strong partnership with Solidaridad, so that whenever there is an opportunity that is looking at women businesses, we call her, We pointed to we pointed on where to go. So we should also take advantage of all the different actors in the sector, and we should be able to engage them and negotiate and get them to point us to the businesses. There are a number of initiatives coming up. How are we able to get information on those initiatives? It is stepping out and going to find those informations. Where do we find those informations? It is talking to people. Sometimes we shy away from talking to people. We have ministries, decentralized agencies in our localities. Let us step in there, go to them, tell them about what we are doing, and also get information. And when we do not have the skills, let us try and seek skills from the next person who knows how to do the things that we are doing better and use it to engage. Let us seize opportunities. I talked about that. Where there are no groupings, let us be the ones to form those groupings. Let us be the ones to rally people around. Let us be the ones to look for those who are doing the same things that we are doing, come together, have a common agenda, develop plans on what it is that we need, what kinds of support we need, and then we use that to engage. Most importantly also, let's have a mindset shift. We are running businesses. Let us see it as businesses. Everything that we do, let us ask ourselves whether it is moving our businesses forward. Are we willing to make the investment in other things? And I'll come back to our social capital. We are very quick to find innovative ways to finance weddings, to finance funerals, to finance naming ceremonies. We may not have the resources, but we do find ways of bringing all sorts of resources, be it financial or other, to make sure that those social events take place. But when it comes to our business, we don't think in the same manner of finding innovative ways to finance our businesses. Meta's presentation said that we do not have to have capital to start, which is true. But what about if you do need some capital at a certain point? How are we leveraging the systems that we have in our environment to start something? We can, VSLs, Village Savings and Loans, have been long in existence, but more and more, it has become one of the key things women are using to finance their businesses. Women are now becoming very adept at savings, and they are leveraging each other's savings to go to the rural banks to negotiate low interest to build businesses. So as women, let us also step out, have a change in the attitudes that we have, and then engage at the table. Sometimes when I say this, that we should engage at the table, you get the response, it is very difficult to engage at the table. If it is difficult for us to engage at an already set table, let us set our own table. Let us create our own space and bring the people that we need to the spaces. How do we do that? We can come together as a group. We can develop a business pitch. It doesn't have to be anything sophisticated. Basically, what we seek to do, what we need, and what we are going to use, when we get what we need, what we'll use it for, and what we expect to get from that. Very clear. Set up a meeting and bring the people to that meeting and talk to them about our need. This is when we have moved them to our table. No matter what our need is small, we are building small steps. So even if it is as basic as just needing extension support, let us start from there. And then we build the different blocks on it. So I would say that as we shift our minds, let us be bold to create our own tables if we're having a difficulty going to the tables that are already set. And then let us rebrand. Let us rebrand and let us rebrand. We are running businesses. We are not running social clubs. So let us see it as businesses. Let us make the investment that is needed to be credible to the outside world, to be credible to the key stakeholders whose support we need. Let us rebrand. Let us not take everything for granted. We have a vegetable farm, and then you talk about it, and then you go and harvest, and you don't really take time to package your product. And then we lose some of the harvest because we didn't take time to store them well. And then we cannot even account for how much we have made. We do not even know how much we put into our business. When you are looking for financing and you cannot talk the numbers, nobody really pays attention. So even if it is 10,000 naira you need, it is 200,000 naira you need, you should be able to crunch your numbers and say, when I get 200,000 naira, I will use X for this, I'll use X for that, I'll use X for this. And then I expect to get this in return. When you are clear, and then you sit at the table to negotiate, even to your uncle, to your husband, to your group members, they would be willing to come to the table to support you. And the last thing is that let us look for opportunities beyond the production. Let us look for opportunities beyond the farming. Let us look for value addition, because it is at the end of the chain. It is at the end of the chain when we have added value that we also make the most profit. So whenever you start your vegetable farm, let us not just look at making the farm, harvesting and selling wholesale. Let us look at how best we can also package some for retail, because at that level, you will make more money. So let us also look at all the opportunities that Ngozi also listed in the value chain. How can we leverage that? Nothing stops us from having multiple businesses. They can run concurrently. If you're running a farm and you have a truck that you use to cut your farm product, offer that as a service to the next farmer for a fee. You can have multiple services that you can give. Let us be bold, and let us engage, and let us seek help. It is one of the things that we do not do. Let us seek help. And I'm happy for this webinar. Women Leadership Institute is there to provide support, mentoring and coaching. Let us reach out to each other and seek help. I would like to I noted a few of Ngozi's recommendations, and I think that it is important that through mentorship, we can support women to do that. And for my last slide, I say that let us leverage, if we really want to go fast, then of course, we will go by ourselves in our little businesses in our corners. But if we want to make a statement, if we want to go far, then we go together. And we can go fast and we can go together if we build our networks, and then we can have speed and scale. Thank you very much.
Sorry, I was muted, so you couldn't hear me. Thank you very much, Ms. Yemidi. Thank you for that awesome presentation. I think you ended it on a perfect note, because it's important to stress that farmers alone cannot address food security issues by themselves. It's not, we have some comments in the Q&A box and the chat section asking how farmers plan on addressing food shortages, and what is the plan for coming together. We all eat, right? So it can't be only on the farmers who produce to do everything that we need to ensure zero hunger globally. Within our own individual capacities, there are people here who work in organizations that offer funding. What role are you playing to the agricultural sector? How important is it for you? There are people here who work in branding agencies. There are people here who work with international IGOs. How much of the agricultural issue are you bringing to the table within your own organization? That way, we're broadening the conversation and increasing networks and supporting farmers in our own way, in our own contribution. You don't necessarily have to be tilling the land, but what are you doing within your own capacity to help support farmers and to build networks? So thank you so much for that. We will continue on from that, and we'll hear from Mrs. Ngozi Lumanzi.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Afternoon. I'm happy to be in this group this afternoon, and I thank God for everything. My other colleagues have said a lot concerning agribusiness, but I'm going to talk on agribusiness as profiting. Agribusiness as profiting, because a lot of people believe going to agribusiness is a side business. No, it's not at all. It's a business we look onto making millions from nothing to something. Like when you come into production, you see farming, management, and marketing. And we're talking about starting with small money. Like like one of my colleagues said in this discussion, that you can plant vegetable at your backyard. That is real. And you make a lot of money from it if you're serious, if you know what you're doing. And when it comes to agribusiness, there are areas you need to, you need to really look into. We have various agribusinesses like crop production, we have livestock, we have pig production, we have agroforestry, we have processing, and we have vegetable production. In crop production, as a farmer or as a woman who has little or nothing, say about 20,000, you can go into any of these areas. Maybe you go into flour making, processing of cassava into flour, processing of cassava into gari, sales of stains of cassava cuttings, starch making. These are little ways you can start and you make big money out of it within a twinkle of an eye. Then you talk of yam. You go into yam production mini sets. You can start with just 3 tubers of yam and you make about 200 to 300 mini sets for way yam farmers, and you sell and you make your money out of it. Then when you go to livestock production, there are various areas in livestock production. You can go into brooding, you can go into layers, you can go into dual purpose broiler production. These are little ways we can start. You can go into artificial brooding, local chick artificial brooding, very cheap. You don't need so much money to start it. But I tell you, within the space of 6 months, if you start with 20,000, within the space of 6 months, you'll be counting about 300,000 to 400,000 by brooding of local chicks. How do we do this? You have local birds. You can buy them, about 3 or 4, the female type, and you buy the male one. It's just about 2,000, and you keep them, and they crossbreed. As they crossbreed, the female, each one can give you 8 or 10 chicks. Okay, times 8 by 4. And once it is hatched, you don't allow the mother to brood it. You separate it from the mother and give the mother 2 weeks. She will start laying again. Within a cycle, you've made so much money. These are ways in agriculture, in agribusiness, you can make your money without so much stress. Then you go to forestry, like agricultural forestry. You talk of snailry, you talk of beekeeping, you talk of mushroom making. These things are like mushroom. In mushroom, you don't need so much talk. You don't need to waste time. You don't need so much skill. And every production does not exceed some few weeks. They're about 8 to 6 weeks. You're already in production. You've already started harvesting. So I encourage women to go into these things because they are very profit-oriented. You don't need to waste all your time, moving from one side to other. And another good thing about these things, when you start this business, you have to be focused. You have to be target-oriented. You don't say, oh, where will I start from? Start from something. Start from what you have in your backyard. Just like the example I gave about artificial brooding of local chicks. With 10,000 naira, you can comfortably start that because you don't need all the money. Buying feed, those birds can be fed with kitchen waste. And you're home and dry with it. You make your money comfortably with local chicks. Then you talk of mushroom. I want to emphasize on those that are very, very cheap, that you can start today, tomorrow. You talk of mushroom production. Very easy. You just need some, knock some. You can even start with a carton, with a perforated carton, or a wooden seed, perforated one. And you add your soil, you add your water, and you add your wood shaving, and you cover up. You get the mushroom, what we call, let me remember the name of that thing. You use it. Within 2-3 days, you will see germination coming up. The training is not much. Within 3 hours, you are trained for it and you've gotten the knowledge. So I encourage women to go into this. We don't need to go so much looking for so much money, to start a business. You can start with a little and you grow so fast. Is it peak production? That one is something else. You can start with 3 in pigs. Before you know it, the gestation period of pig is not too long. It's 3 days, 3 months, 3 weeks, and 3 days. You've already started, having piglets. And you can even sell your piglets at winner stage without wasting so much time wanting to get it to grow and to maturity. You sell your product and you make a lot of money from it. Then we go into processing of these agri products, adding value to them. You can add value to your fruits. If you want to go into fruit making, like in some season, you see a lot of fruits everywhere. You can buy those fruits, process them into jams, and and you keep. At the time of want, you will sell, you make 10 times what you bought from the initial price. So these are ways we can help ourselves, especially the rural women, and you can grow faster. Just like one of us said that when you are in a group, in a cluster, it is better that way. You move faster. You click with those that are doing the same production with you in the same area. You can go to the same market your product at the same time. You don't need a marketer to do it for you, and you get your little money from it. I think it's quite interesting if we can grow from this level, not wanting to have so much money, looking for so much land, this kind of a thing gives people, scare them away from going into agri-production, agri-business. But you can start little. You can go into herbs, producing seedlings for herbs, like the scent leaf. There are a lot of things that are being done with scent leaves these days. You talk of the neem seed. You can go into production of neem seedlings, and you sell and you make money out of it. You don't need all the money in the world to start it. With 10, 20,000, you can go into the production of neem seed production. Neem seedlings production. Within 2-3 weeks, it's off your shelf. You sell and you start all over again. You can go into production of palm oil seedlings. These things can be done at the side of your house, behind your house, without anybody knowing it, and you're turning out thousands of naira within a space of time. You don't need all the money in the world to start this. Hello?
We're here. We're with you.
Okay. So when you talk of peak production, just like I said before, you can go into winners. Within 2-3 months, those ones are gone. You can go into peak production. You can go into matured peak production, sales, and the rest of them. So there are lots. You can go into snail production. You can go into snail production. These things, they don't need so much space. I'm talking of business that don't need so much space, and you make a lot of money out of it. I think I'm done with what I have here. I think I'm done.
Okay, so let me just give you your round of applause. Thank you very much for that, Mrs. Lanze. You honestly, you've helped us. You've given us even more options following on from what Merta did. There are so many people that are excited. I would ask that that people asking to follow up with you to continue discussing what kinds of things they can do. So we'll have all that information sent out to people. Thank you so much for those practical tips that you've shared with us. I'm sure there will be a lot of questions and follow up that we can gain more insights from you. I want us to hear now from some of our actual farmers who can give us real life experiences and talk to us a little bit more about what's happening in the farms and answer a few questions that have come from the audience. So we have Honorable Charity Obilo.
Okay. Wura, I think we'll go with Letitia first.
Okay.
Honorable Charity is trying to log back on.
Okay. All right. So we have Letitia. She's our cocoa farmer from Ghana. Yes, we can hear you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Letitia, cocoa farmer from Ghana.
Okay. Ms. Letitia, before you start, we actually wanted to show our audience some pictures from your farm, if that's okay. So if you just give us a second and I'll share my screen and do so.
Thank you.
Not a problem. Okay. These are pictures of Letitia's cocoa farm in Ghana.
This one is the rubber.
Oh, the rubber farm, okay. Okay, thank you. We just wanted to show our audience the magnitude of your exploits in agriculture.
Thank you. Yes.
You can go ahead now.
Yeah. I started cocoa farming in 2010 when I happened to get in touch with someone that I've been a good Samaritan to the person. He wanted me to visit him all the time, even when I'm not in the area, so that he can always see me. So he convinced me to own a farm. In fact, after so many persuasion, I took his advice and asked him to find me a land. He got me a land on credit, and I started the cocoa farming. In fact, when I started, after clearing my land, I had no money to pay for the land. So I started planting cassava, plantain, maize, and yam. And from those foodstuff, I sold them and I gathered money to pay for the land. I also had a firewood and charcoal from it. And I started doing my nursery. I had the pot, the hybrid pot from a recognized cocoa district. That was the approved cocoa district. So after my nursery, I started planting. So the money I got from the cocoa, in fact, I took it very serious. I wasn't staying at home for laborers to do the work. Even when I hired laborers, out of the money that I gathered from the food staff, I'm also on the farm to supervise it myself. So sometimes I'm there to encourage them to work harder, and my success began. Out of the money that I got from the cocoa and then the food stuff, I acquired more cocoa farm, already grown one, because I saw that maybe starting fresh farm is somehow tedious. So I started buying already made farms. And also I started managing farms from people who could not manage their farm well. Some of them were having the farm all right, but they could not maintain it. So I maintained it for them for some years, and then I give it back. Some too, I maintain it, I manage it, and then we share the profits. In fact, I make the farming a business. And all these things, I wouldn't say that there were no challenges. There were a lot of challenges. Sometimes, as a woman, I couldn't prune. But then I was making networking. I was contacting people, the agri office. I was always on the extension offices. What do I do? I've seen pests in my farm. What should I do? What chemical should I use? And they were also guiding me. I also contacted NGOs. And when I was doing all these things, someone somewhere was also watching me. There was a time that I visited agri office and I said I wanted chemical to spray my farm. The officer said that he didn't believe I had a farm. So I also challenged him to visit my farm. When he went to my farm, he was marvelous. He said, oh, a woman doing this farm. So he also started giving me assistance. If I needed any advice, he was willing to give me those advice and assistance. And he also introduced me to Cocoa Board head office, and Auntie Susie, Solidaridad West Africa, also saw me, and all of them started supporting me. After that, I saw that I needed to learn from other people, especially the farmers who were experienced. So I approached my colleague farmers, the farmers in the villages. I approached them, how did you do it? And they will narrate it to me, and I will practice it. I will add my own. So we started forming cooperative groups to share ideas, to have one mouth, to approach the organizations and to approach those who could help us. At a point, we saw that, oh, the cocoa farming has 2 seasons. And during the lean season, we are found wanting in terms of finance. So we started to do additional livelihood. And the extension officers from Cocoa Farm and then Solidaridad also gave us training on how to do additional livelihood. So I started this pilgrim. And in fact, I'm not, I won't say that I've regretted entering into farming. Farming has given me more exposure than any field that I've ever been to. So I encourage every woman, in fact, every woman, to do a little bit of farming. And if they are doing it, they should take it as a business. For the challenges, the women, we need seed. We need training. We need technical advice. We need support. We need funding. For me, in fact, I've had a lot of support from Cocoa Board, and I'm always thankful to Solidaridad, especially Auntie Susie, and then all those, especially his workers. When they see me, it's like they've seen their queen. They actually make me feel like a queen, and they are helping me, and they are helping my cooperative members, Cocoa, my women in cooperative. When you come to Dunkwa, where my farm is, every little child knows cocoa ma. When they see me, then they will shout, cocoa ma, meaning cocoa women. We are moving forward. If you are moving forward, then you have to take your business, your farming as a business. And that is what we are doing. So we are urging everybody to support us, to support Solidaridad, so that they can also support us and support all the women into farming. In fact, when I went to my hometown, that is in the western region, western part of Ghana, then I heard that there's opportunity for farming into rubber. I said, oh, this cocoa farming is helping me. Why not trying the rubber plantation too? And for the past 7 years, I started planting rubber. I'm now harvesting rubber in addition to the cocoa farming. And that is the little that I can say.
Thank you so much, Letitia. Thank you so much.
I'm back, yo.
Okay, she's back. Thank you so much, Letitia. That was amazing. We wish you continue.
I am back.
Yes, Honorable Charity, welcome back. Are you ready to speak to us now?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Honorable Charity, please, before you speak, I would like to also share pictures of your farm, if that's okay with you. So just give me a second, and I'll share pictures of your farm.
I don't know. Today's network is another thing. Hello?
Okay, Honorable Charity, I'm sharing pictures of your farm. So just give me a second, okay?
Honorable Ndewo. Biko I'm not but saying that ma hu heke ya ma mo manga. Biko ma shi ma jokwala ge lo onye nwe farm ni me nonga. My honor. Ekwula he. Yes. Ele bi na ji nwe ahe ha pa na kwa arụ ya ọrụ a na-aga Japan eto. The cooperative and then net. Which I'm the president. I'm a president at the net. Eziokwu. We're politicians. We're Christian mother. We're be sure of that. Eziokwu. Get some neighbor politics. You see me today. I got my familiarization tongue. So let me know. Yeah, I ask. I'm a mom. By tomorrow I continue. Akwụkwọ m cha nwaanyị nwe ihe ha kpa aga m ekwe o. Oh ya hem ko gbagbo m nwaanyị owere not. Nwa bụ ime ọrụ ugbo. Onwe nwaanyị ọwụla nwere ọrụ agụ eji agụ. Ya agụ eji agụ basic. Onwe hu asịghị a farmer agụ ọgụga atọ ya atọ. When you are a farmer, you were a farmer. You make sure that every day there's food in your house. You're right, ma. It's eziokwu. Na wow. And the man nwaanyị nwere uduru ihe ke di ya ga-ejikwa ya ọrụ ọrụ. No, ihe ụmụ nwaanyị ibe m ndị ka lụrụ di ọhụrụ. Asọfe echi ga go ndị jere bụrụ ya pụta ahụ ka ndị jere bụrụ ya. Like that. Well, I'm not for my because I was in one thing and no, I hate it if I'm surprised because I'm not someone who one in there. Oh, thank you very much. The woman. Thank you very much. I love farming and
Hello, I'm back. You're happy to be back again. Network, network problem.
Honorable, we are watching your video. We are watching your video of your farm.
Thank you very much.
Right, so we're done with the video. So, Honorable, you can actually speak now.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
Yes.
The network is. Hello.
We can hear you. Do you want to turn off your video?
No. No.
Okay. You know what we can do to make this easier? I can actually call you on WhatsApp and then you will speak through my phone. Is that okay? Is that okay with you?
I'm hearing you now. Okay. Hello.
Okay, Honorable.
Well, I'm trying to get her on the phone and then she can speak.
So we'll try and call you so you speak through Soma.
Okay, let's give her a second. Okay. Yeah, Honorable Charity, you can speak now and they can hear you through my phone. Her network, I do apologize to everyone. Her network is not very good. Okay. Wura, I think you can go with the Q&A, and if her network gets better, then we'll take it from there.
Okay. Well, at least we got to see the video and the size of her farm and what she's doing. And for those who couldn't understand the video, she was talking about the fact that apart from being a farmer, and sorry, I didn't understand the whole thing myself, but apart from being a farmer, not only was she comfortable just farming, she's part of her organization. She's become the president of the Women's Farmers Association. She's also a politician. So wherever there are opportunities, I see Honorable Charity. Can we check if we can hear her?
Okay, let's see.
Okay. Honorable, can you hear me? Okay, so she's muted now. So if she comes,
just go on. That's fine.
She'll tell us when she's back.
Yes.
So she's clearly at the forefront of what she's doing, very hardworking, getting involved in political spaces, taking advantage of any opportunity that comes in. And there was a question in our Q&A that made a suggestion to say women farmers should probably form cooperatives so that they can be better assisted. And I was just going to point out that these cooperatives are already forming across communities. Women form cooperatives so that they can speak in one voice, just as Letitia was saying. I was hearing Honorable, I just want to see whether she's, okay. So just as Letitia was saying, the women move together, form cooperatives so that they can speak in one voice. They can approach organizations and the ministry together so that their voices are amplified and stronger, not just individual. So that has been working for them. So the first question that I wanted to ask, Letitia, if you're still there, there was somebody that wanted to know about crop preservation and how you take care of your crops so that you avoid waste.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
For me, for the cocoa, immediately you dry your cocoa, you have already market for it. That one is done by the LBCs. We have so many LBCs around, local buying companies around who buy our cocoa beans. So we have already market for it. And then for the rubber, there's also ready market for it. Even with the convict around, we can say only yesterday I harvested some and I've sent it to a factory very close to my rubber plantation. For the maize and the cassava, we send it to markets and then we sell. But we have, where I am, we don't have silos around. Recently, very close to my farm, there's this one district, one factory. The district in which I am, we are having a silo. It's almost completed, but we normally sell our products to the market. And for me, the maize, I use it, I store it. I've made a local how do you call it? A local silo. Yeah, a local silo that I can store my maize for 1 year. I go to the MOFA office, that is the agric office, and then they show me the procedure, the how to dry it, and so that I'll be able to keep it for 1 year. And I use some to feed my family and also for the pigs.
Fantastic. So, sorry, before you go, somebody wanted to know, are you exporting your rubber and cocoa? Are you exporting out of Ghana?
No, I don't export directly, but we have agents who buy them from us.
Okay, and then they export. Okay.
Yeah, the company export it, but I don't export.
But they buy from you. Fantastic. Okay, thank you. So, Honorable Charity, can you hear me? Oh. Okay, so let's move on and see if she comes back. My next question, maybe it's about investment. So somebody is asking, if I'm a working woman and I want to get involved in agriculture, not necessarily production or farming. So this will be, maybe Dr. Ibuna can help me with this. They want to know, how can someone go about investing in agriculture? What channels? Where do I go? I have no information. Who do I approach? What do I do?
Thank you very much for that. If you want to make an investment in agriculture, you make up your mind which aspect of agriculture, where in the value chain you want to make the investment, how much you need to invest or what you need to invest. And then you go to the agricultural office, like the lady, Mrs. Lumanze, who says she's from Imo State. Every state and every capital, as well as local government area in some of our countries, have agricultural office. And so you can go there and make up your mind after making inquiries what you want to do. If you have money that you want to invest, look at the value chain and make up your mind which one you want to, where you want to participate. Like I said when I was making my presentation, there are people who bought mobile phones with their money, 20, 30 mobile phones, and gave it to farmers who farm maize mainly. And so when the maize is ready and they've done their harvest, they give the lady a call and say, our harvest is ready, it will be ready tomorrow. Please send this information to the market. Now she forwards that information to the market that this particular area, they are ready with their 20, 30 tons of maize for sale. There is a buyer somewhere that she has the information. She will sell that information to the buyer, and the buyer would go there and pick up the crop. Now, between her and the farmer, there's a level of investment and a level of value addition in agricultural production that has been added by just selling data. And her investment is mainly on mobile phones. Practically every nook and cranny has a mobile network. So she sends the mobile phone to the farmers and they send the information, and through that network, they sell their goods. They don't have any wastages. They don't have any delays in transporting their goods. They are not even going to do the transporting. Somebody else is told in the network, in the loop, to go pick up this kind of crop from this farm and take it to this place from point A to point B, and that's how the thing goes. I also have a story about a young man who has a cooling system. For all he does is to invest in setting up cooling systems in clusters of farms. And it is not a freezer, it is just a cooling system. What he does is to provide the farmers with plastic pill. Soma, can you please share some of my slide? If you can get to slide number, I think slide number 12 or 14. What he does is to give farmers plastic baskets for them to store their tomatoes. And then they put them on shelves in the cooling system, and they can stay there for up to 2 weeks. You know how perishable tomatoes are. So it stays there in the cooling system until somebody comes to the farm to sell it off. And that's all he does. That is his own business in the agricultural value chain. There is somebody else who does things like transportation. This is please can you stop on slide 11? 11. This is the wastage. These are all rotten vegetables to be thrown away. These can be picked up by an investor who wants to get into agribusiness, use this as compost and sell it to the market. However, to reduce or minimize the wastage from this kind of thing, you can go to slide 15, please. You can store tomatoes and vegetables in this cooling system that is powered by solar in the market, in the farm. This is actually located on a farm. And there are clusters of farms there who sell vegetables and tomatoes. The whole idea is that we go from farm production all the way on the value chain. So anything you want to invest. Agriculture has gone beyond what we have on slide 16. Can you show slide 16? It has gone beyond this, and it has gone to slide 11, 12 and 13. I just want to mention that. So you see the young lady. This particular webinar is to encourage young ladies. She's cutely dressed, very corporate, and like Ms. Sue said, you become professional in your business so that you attract value. And if you go to slide 13, you will see ladies making contacts and doing their businesses using mobile phones and iPads that they have been given. And that is the kind of investment that you can make in agriculture along the value chain and make a lot of money. You don't even need too much money to do business in agriculture. I hope I have answered that particular question. If you are looking for funding to invest in any of these value chains, then you can go to the agricultural development banks. You can go to your commercial bank. You do not have to be shy. You do not have to be intimidated
at the same time.
By the farm, by the
Hello. Hello.
Bura, thank you, Dr. Ebuna.
Hello.
Let's try, okay, we can, Honorable Charity, we can hear you now.
Can I have the floor to talk?
Yes,
Go
ma'am.
ahead.
Hello. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Yes, I thank each and every one of you. Mostly my mentor, Dr. Mrs. Kemachikwe, I thank you. I am a farmer. When I say I'm a farmer, I really mean it. I'm Honorable Mrs. Charity Obilo from Obibiezera in the Warren or Timos with small amount. I started from buying one plot of land. From that one plot of land at 35,000 naira. When I see that the corn is not giving me what I want, I used to cassava crop. Every time I planted my cassava, people passing will be seeing my cassava. I used to put this poultry manure and the ash manure. Then when my people, I went to Imo River Basin Development Authority. By then I have cooperated with some women. We form cooperative. We use my husband's name, Development Authority. In Abala in Imo State, then from there giving me a hectare. They do the region every year, but at a time now, before they do anything, we will pay. But during that time, they would do everything free of charge, including the land. Even now, we don't pay for the land, but for their own caterpillar, they cut, they slide, and they reach. Then my cooperative will pay. So from there, I grew up in agriculture. Then, as I'm telling people and as I'm encouraging women, if you are involved in agriculture, there's nothing you want to do that you cannot do it. You can invest money in agriculture that will realize no matter the cost. The constraints capital. So if you got those things, then your business will be smoothly. Then for the palm oil, I bought palm nuts from a Ministry of Agriculture, smallholder oil palm project, when I was a councillor. Then I planted it. From there, and you have seen my video, I don't call labor, I do everything, no. But if I finish it, I go to the machine. Supposing if I have my own machine, everything will be done by myself. So what is involved in this agri? People are saying, Honorable, you are not feeding children now. Why are you still involve yourself in agriculture? My sister, if you involve yourself in agriculture, agriculture is very sweet. You will like doing business with this agri, especially this crop of cassava. I have yellow cassava, all names of cassava in my farm. Name them, you will see them there. And I will just show you, train you how to plant it. So that you know the head, you plant it the normal way it's supposed to be. So that if you just germinate, it will be just one instead of multiple this thing, so that they will be smallish in growth. So I like being an agric woman. Though I said I'm a politician, yes, I'm a politician. I was groomed by my mentor, Dr. Mrs. Kemachikwe. Still, as I am doing politics, I am equally doing agric, and I cannot leave agric. You have seen my farm from 1 hectare to 3 hectares this year. Only that many people who are asking us, come and take loan from Ministry of Agriculture, from Ministry of this, from Ministry of that, all are in vain. Sometimes they will ask you, pay 1,000, pay 2,000, they will not give you anything. And I don't know, it's because people don't value what women are doing. Supposing if I'm a man, the height I reach in agriculture, people could have been visiting my farm. And I grew so many people, so many women are benefiting from my farm. So I like agric, but the most important thing is that where can we get something that will help us to do that farming? Even I have bags, I brand my bags. At then and age, if you see this thing, the written is at then and age, Gary processing. At then and age is Gary processing in collaboration with Imo River Basin. I carry those 20 kg, that's to so many people in my area for them to see it and they feel happy and sponsor me. But none of the people I send the Gary to, none of them show appreciation. Hey, thank you, Honorable. Thank you, Honorable. That's all. People like Mrs. Kemachikwe, as he just bringing up all of us higher and higher for us to know what people are doing. Please, I'm encouraging women to go into agric farming in any way. As other people said, farming is too much. Cassava is there, yam is there, plantain is there. In any way you feel you can do within small amount of money, you start. You can start any business with small amount of money, my dear. So, and the height my own reach now, it needs assistance. It needs people to come and see what I'm doing so that they will help to push me up so that I'll be pushing others. That is what this thing means. For you to help me, then I help others. Then there will be food in our society.
Thank you, Honorable. Thank you so much. We're all clapping for you. We're so happy you were able to speak with us.
Thank you very much. For
Thank
the
you.
place, sometimes 2 years ago, we went to Abuja. They show us how to use machine, grind the gari, and do all sorts of this, and fry the gari as well. But all those things we cannot get them, and we cannot afford to buy them. Thank you very much. Hello.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable.
Hello.
Hello. We heard you. We heard you. Everybody is clapping for you now. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello. Okay.
Hello.
Honorable Charity, thank you so much. We all heard you. Everybody has given you your deserved round of applause.
We are the devil to today's.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up. We're going to wrap up now. Honorable, we heard you and we appreciate your story and your passion, and you've encouraged people. Everybody is asking where you sell your products and your produce.
So coming to how.
Unfortunately, we have to wrap up. Our 2 hours is up. So we're going to have more information on our social media handles. So please follow the Women Leadership Institute on Facebook, Instagram. Check our website. We'll have more information about our panelists. We will probably also be able to do a profile of our farmers. And more practical.
I will go there and sell them. And I told you earlier, when I was a councillor, I used to carry my gari on my boot to the local government. When I reach there, other councillors will buy my gari.
Okay, we have to wrap up right now. Honorable Charity.
At the end of the month, when there is 2, and from there, the interest, I become more interested in agriculture.
All right, thank you, Honorable Charity. What we're going to do is that we're actually going to have you answer the questions in the comments, make a video, and we're going to share with all our attendees and participants. So thank you so much. Owura, back to you.
That's a fantastic idea. I think it's good to have Honorable Charity answer the questions on video.
I am very, very delighted.
We are very delighted to hear from you too. Thank you so much. Your energy is amazing. Thank you for adding to our panel. I just wanted to close out our conversation. Dr. Ebuna has pretty much already wrapped up what the conversation was around today, where farming has moved from the traditional mindset to a more modernized, structured, professional type of farming that will invest more, that will attract more investment. So if we just say a few lines, Dr. Ebuna, about the session today and our key takeaways, then I'll hand over to our host. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. It's been a very exciting 2 hours. Let me wrap up by just summarizing what practically everybody said. We started with my presentation. Meta said that agriculture can be done at all levels, and that growing your own food will help you to eat healthy and save you a lot of money. And she gave us 4 P's: preparation, passion, patience, perseverance. She also enlightened us on what they are doing in Argentina, where the head of state has a vegetable farm on his roof. That is a quick thing to do. And I promise you, by this time next weekend, I'll have my own farm by my window. At least my herb. I'll prepare my own herb farm by my window. That's a very good takeaway, and it is important to note that the slide she showed us about the country that is growing food on every rooftop is something that we should emulate in Africa. We have the resources, and in Africa, you really don't need to till the land. You throw tomato water out of your window and it starts growing. So I don't know what our problems are, but we need to do better. Ms. Yemide, my friend, Sue, she did a lot in terms of networking. She gave us all that we needed to do networking, and she says that she gave a SWOT analysis of agribusiness, giving us the successes, giving us the opportunities, giving us the threats, and giving us also the fact that you can start a network on your own. And if you're not being brought to the table, you can set your own table and invite people to the table, and then you will take it from there. That's a very instructive thing to say. Mrs. Lumanze gave us wonderful ideas about how to make profit from farming, from production of livestock to local chicken production to artificial breeding of local chicken to mushroom farming from wooden sticks and cartons. That is amazing. So you can actually do farming with less than 20,000 from Mrs. Ngozi Lumanze. And Ms. Letitia and Mrs. Obilo gave us live information on real life experiences as farmers. I'm looking at Miss Letitia, and I'm seeing that she's one of the young people that you can point at that is doing great things in agriculture. Now imagine if the next generation of young girls do agriculture and do it the way she's doing it, then we would not have any food insecurity anymore in Africa. She does all sorts of things from plantation farming of cocoa and rubber to maize and yam farming, as well as animal husbandry through piggery. And she says that their greatest challenge is that they have exposure, they don't have enough exposure to the international market. Mrs. Obilo called for us to have extension services given to farmers, as well as the fact that they need funding. However, she gave us a tip that she started with a plot of land that she bought for 35,000. I do know, for instance, that Ms. Sue told us that we save money to buy ashwebi, which is uniforms for weddings and funerals. Now, if you can do that with 50,000, 20,000, you can close your eyes to the invitations for 3 or 4, 5, 6 months, and you save enough to start a farm. And from that farm, like Ms. Meta said, you can, from that farm, feed yourself and sell when your level has grown. I think I've pretty much covered practically everything, but just to end on this note, that despite the challenges we have, a growing proportion of women are breaking through the glass ceiling. Women who enter into leadership positions attribute their successes to factors such as access to education, mentorship, work opportunity, and support from their family, as well as employers and supervisors. You can start small, you can start on any level, you can start near your window, or you can buy farms on credit, like Letitia did, and then grow from there. And so the role of all of us, especially the African Women Leadership Institute, is to be the gardener, like I said in the African proverb, to be the gardener who will cultivate the leadership skills of African women so that we can have a rich harvest of women leaders doing global business across the agricultural value chain. I thank you again for listening. I hope I did a good wrap up. I'm rushing for time.
Excellent. That was an excellent wrap up. Thank you so much. So we'll take a few closing words from our host, Ambassador Dr. Kema Chikwe.
You have to unmute yourself.
Hello. I'm unmuted, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good. So I thank everybody who attended this webinar. I thank the panelists. It's been a wonderful 2 hours, profitable 2 hours. I promised, or rather, we promised that everybody who attends this webinar will go home with the package. And I believe everybody is going home with a package, with the wonderful presentations. We try to be practical at WLI. We have the intellectual perspective and we have the practical perspective. And that's why we presented different levels of presenters who have different experiences, starting from the field experiences to the other aspects of the value chain in agriculture. On a personal level, I have thought about this agriculture, that women should take it more seriously. I started a plantain flour processing mill, and I'm at the point of branding, test running it. And I see it's very profitable. We have palm plantation, family palm plantation. Now I am storing palm oil, because palm oil, you have seasons, when palm oil is cheap and when it's more expensive. When I said to myself, if I can do this on the side, I believe any woman who focuses on agriculture will make it, especially with the new technologies available, which the presenters have actually spoken to us about this afternoon. So I hope that this webinar, The Business of Agriculture, has been fulfilling to everybody. And I hope next time Women Leadership Institute invites you to a program, you look forward to it and you will be sure that you are taking home something substantial. I thank you, Ms. Wura. You're always so wonderful. I thank you, the project director, Sumachi. I thank everybody. Unfortunately, we can't see our audience, but I think they've done very well for us, because we are doing this because we know they are all watching us. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chikwe. Thank you so much, Wura. One of the things the Institute tries to do is that we are really passionate about providing sustainable and practical solutions to our audience. There's a lot of information out there, but WLI is very particular to make sure that the information we share is basically information women can run with. When you get something from WLI, you really don't have to go anywhere else for that information to be broken down. I think we can all leave here today knowing how to start our home gardens, knowing where to find resources, and knowing how to reach out. One of the things we're going to do, because we're limited by time, is that we're going to send an email to all the registered participants. In the email, you'll have a link to our YouTube channel where you can watch this video again and share it with your networks. We will have contacts of everyone that was on the panel today, so you can reach out to them and start networking and leveraging on the people you met today. And we will also have information on our social media pages and Facebook and Instagram and our website. There was a comment in the chat room that talked about forming networks. Yes, you can register to be a Women Leadership Institute member, and that way you're always up to date with our information. We stay together and we leverage on each other. We have a masterclass coming up in the next few months or weeks where we will be giving women actual technical skills to start their agricultural business. So there's a lot coming up, but the only way you will find out is if you follow us on social media or you become a member. Thank you so much for your 2 hours. Thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you to our amazing panelists from across the world. We appreciate the time you spent with us today. Thank you, Wura, for always hosting and coordinating our webinars perfectly. And thank you to the chairman of the Women Leadership Institute. Her vision has sowed amazing seeds in the lives of women across Africa and the world. And we're truly grateful for all you do with the Institute. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. And have a wonderful day. Ms. Wura, you can close us out.
Okay, just to echo everyone's thanks. Thank you for your time. People are asking, how do we become a member of the Women Leadership Institute? Please visit the website. Somachi has put all the information in the chat box, so please have a look before you go and look out for our next webinar, and we hope that you join us once again. Thank you to all our panelists, Dr. Ebuna, Mrs. Lumanze, Merta, all the way from Argentina, Susan Yemidi, Letitia from Ghana, and Honorable. Honorable, are you still here? I think
Yes, so
Wura, can I say
yes,
one?
yes.
Wura, let me say one more thing. Honorable captures the resilience of the African woman. If only the crowd knew what she went through in the past 30 minutes. You know, some people would give up. Some people would be like, you know what, I'm tired. Honorable, I got really emotional about her presentation because she captures the determination and the resilience of the African woman to succeed. And I love that she kept trying. And I am so grateful that she was able to present because she definitely has a lot to share. And we will definitely be sharing more videos about her on our pages. So thank you, Honorable, for being persistent. Thank you for motivating and inspiring us. We really, truly appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Honorable, I wanted to close on your words. She's told us in her presentation, agriculture is sweet. So let that be our parting words for this webinar. She's proof of it. Agriculture is sweet. Yes.
So sweet.
It's so sweet. Thank you, everybody, for your time, and see you again next time.
So sweet. God bless all of you.
If the panelists, okay, all right. I'll end up now.
Yeah.